All right. We're going to talk about sharing the coaching opportunity tonight. And I have some slides I'm going to go over with you, and no worries about taking notes because I also have a Google document that I'm going to post for you guys that has everything that I go over in this so that you can reference back to it. I have it printed out because I just like to look at it. Um, I'm curious, did anybody do the brainstorming web that I had suggested that you do? And I'm literally talking about like a grade school. This is what I did. Um, you guys, I feel like no matter how long you've been coaching, like the things that you can share about are ever changing. And you also, like me being that it's been 7 years, like life is different, my business is different. Um, I guess the things that I feel like have impacted my life from coaching the most have changed. It kind of changes with the seasons of your life. And then there are things that are just forever ongoing: the accountability, the friendships, the support, the fulfillment. Um, and I think when you are sharing constantly, as we are all of the time, that sometimes we like forget to talk about certain things or parts of our stories or why we started coaching. Or for me personally, something I was thinking about was I was in such a desperate place when I started my business, and I don't feel like that anymore. So I don't necessarily always think to go back to like where I started and how I felt when I started and why I decided to start a business, right? Um, and so I think it's good to do these exercises pretty frequently to kind of like jog your memory, but to also give you new ideas or maybe put a twist on things of how you can share them. Um, because there are so many different components of coaching that people are drawn to, and just like some people are going to connect to the reasons that you became a coach for, and some people are looking for different things than you are. It's kind of helpful to cover all of the bases and know the ideal people that you're looking for with sharing coaching, right? Um, and with that said, I've also found over time, which you guys will find too, or maybe you already have, is if you only kind of talk about one part of coaching all of the time, you're kind of missing the mark on a lot of people that would be drawn to it for other reasons. Like maybe there's those people who need the community or they need the accountability. Like they feel super isolated in their lives and they want to be a part of like a sisterhood and a team. Um, Maybe there are people who just really want to be surrounded by people who are growing and dreaming and doing things, right? Or maybe there's someone that likes their full-time job and they make a good income, but they don't necessarily feel fulfilled and they want something that's their own that they can be passionate about, right? There's so many different reasons that people are drawn to coaching. And especially right now when we don't have coaching trips, I feel like it's extra important to kind of highlight the things um, that we're thankful for in this season with this business, because events are typically a big draw in for coaching. When people see you go to summit, they see you go to retreats, which we have our retreat coming up in September. um, when people see those things, it makes it more real because it's not just like an online thing where you're posting, right? It's like an actual event and they see the community and they see your friendships and people are like, oh my gosh, what are you a part of? Like, I want to be a part of that. So I feel like um, we kind of have to work a little harder to create that FOMO when we don't have events, right? So I'm just going to go through some basic stuff with you guys tonight about sharing coaching, about ways that I personally share coaching, and just kind of ideas on how you can not only jot your memory, but kind of get more clear on the ideal people you are looking to have join your team, because everybody's team is going to be a little different because we're all a little different, right? And the more that we tap into like what qualities of people are we looking for, what do the women that I am looking for to join my team have in common with me? What do they struggle with? What are their fears? What do they want to do with their lives? Those kind of things, because the more that we talk to those points, the more we connect with women that are looking for the same things. So I'm curious, just before we get started, who feels confident like talking about coaching? Now, I would say, especially I'm thinking about you more, Lindsay, as a new coach. I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like sometimes when we're like new to coaching, you're like, well, I don't have success yet. And like, I don't have a lot of things to share, because it's definitely how I felt, was like, how am I supposed to get other people to be interested in this when I'm not making a ton of money yet? And I think the good thing to remember is that if people join you as a coach now, they learn and grow along with you, and that's forever the case. Like, you don't have to be you we always only have to be one step ahead of someone to lead them to do what we're doing, right? Like, okay, you've learned how to post, you've learned how to have a conversation. Well, cool. Now you have something to teach someone if they join you, right? Um, and realistically, one of the only ways to start growing success and growing an income is to start sharing these things more and having more people join you. So when I was new, just a rule of thumb, if this is helpful to someone, I talked a lot about what I was doing. Like, I talked a lot about the calls I was getting on, what I was learning from the calls. Like, if I had, aha moments from getting on a team call, and it was like a mindset shift that I had, and I was like, wow, this was super impactful for me, and I would share those things. Or I was sharing how I was getting up super early before my son, and how I was, recording videos. Or um that's okay, Melissa. Um, I was more so at the time sharing what I was doing and where I was going, because I didn't really have much success to show yet, but I knew that if I kept kind of sharing the process and what I was doing and where I was going, that as I started to achieve things and hit goals, um, that it kind of created more proof that what I was doing was working. Does that make sense? So you don't necessarily have to be like, here's the income I make and this is what it's done for me, if that's not the reality yet. But you can talk about why you are building this business, why you signed up as a coach, what you're wanting to build for your family, what it's already created for you, if that's the support, the community, the accountability, feeling better in your skin, more confidence. There's so many different ways that you can share, but also share where you're going, because that's what people want to follow. People want to follow and connect with people and join people who are doing something, who are going somewhere, right? Like, if you're passionate and you're excited, you're like, heck yeah, I want to be a part of what she's doing. I don't know what she's doing, but like, it looks fun, right? And that passion and that excitement draws people in way more than you know. So that's a big thing. Okay, before I open this, where are we at on, like, let's say on a confidence scale of 1 to 10 with sharing the coaching opportunity? How comfortable do you feel either A, posting about coaching, or B, reaching out one-on-one and inviting someone to join your team? I'm curious, and there is no wrong answer. This is why we're talking about it. That's good, Maggie. I feel like you've worked hard to be a 7, haven't you? 1? Okay, Robin. Got some work to do. Dun-dun-dun. All right, well, you can keep commenting. At the end, if you have specific questions or like fears or like mental blocks that you're working through, like, I'm more than happy to talk you through those, because we've all been there or had them or do have them. And it's just kind of helpful to talk about. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's see here. Okay, and I actually have some real life examples for you at the end of this. So, okay, sharing the coaching opportunity. And just a reminder that you absolutely can do this. All right. Hold on, bear with me while this changes my screen. Okay, so first and foremost, and this is like a super simple, but it was like a super impactful lesson for me, was that someone once shared with me that if all we talk about is health and fitness, then we will only find people who are ever interested in being a challenger, because they're only ever going to be interested in health and fitness, right? If you share about coaching, naturally you'll find that people will become more interested in coaching. It's really that simple. What we share about is what people see. people only know what we talk about, what they connect to, the stories we share. So often, if we're not talking enough about coaching, people don't know that they can join you, start a business, have more financial freedom, be more present for their families, have the opportunity to travel, accountability to their own wellness, all of the different facets that the coaching opportunity can provide. Unless we talk about those things, people don't know that's an option for them. So I wanted to just start with that first, is that it's really that simple, is that the more we talk and share about this, the more opportunities you have to connect to people that are looking for the same thing. Okay, so who are you looking for? This is also one that I always come back to over the years, because I feel like I can tend to get in a rut of just kind of posting generic things that I'm like, anyone would connect to this, right? And it's that kind of the whole rule of thumb: when we're trying to speak to everyone, we're speaking to no one. Like, we kind of have to compact who we are looking for, what they need, what they struggle with, what are their fears, in their day-to-day life, what stresses them out. Is it how much they pay for daycare? Is it they only see their kids for 2 hours before bedtime? Is it they feel so busy that they don't have time to prioritize themselves and they need the accountability to do so, right? So the more that we niche down at the woman or the person we are looking for, to join our team, the more we speak directly to them, right? And it's not going to resonate with everyone. It's, some people are going to be like, well, I don't, and they're going to scroll by it, but that's kind of what you want, because when it's more specific and you're speaking directly to one person who is just like the older version of you, you're going to find that you connect more deeply than you do when you're just kind of sharing something that anyone might connect to. Does that make sense? So write out a few examples of the woman you are looking for, what she struggles with, what emotions she feels, and what she needs, that you have the perfect opportunity and solution for. So sometimes when I share about beginning my coaching journey, I talk about how I was a newly single mom that had left an abusive relationship. I had no self-worth and no self-confidence. I needed to make more money financially. I also was very unhealthy and unhappy. And so for me, this opportunity not only gave me the tools, and solutions and accountability that I needed to personally change my own health and fitness, but it also gave me an opportunity to be imperfect and share my story and think that, well, okay, if I can empower myself from the situation I'm in right now, I can show other women that they can do the same thing too, right? And that's most likely going to connect with fellow single moms, or it's going to connect with women that are kind of down and out and something happened in their life where they kind of feel unhealthy, unhappy, not super confident, and they're looking for change, right? And I use wording specific to that. I was desperate for change and I was willing to work for it, because that's the kind of woman I'm looking for. I'm not looking for someone who's going to get a challenge pack and throw it on the shelf and not take action. I'm looking for someone who's like, I need change in my life desperately right now, enough that I'm willing to do the hard work and show up for it, right? So take some time later on or sometime this week to sit down and think, what are the emotions she feels? What does she need? What is she looking for? And how can this opportunity fit her? And again, this is most likely going to be an older version of yourself, right? Okay. So I put some examples here, and like I said, I have a Google document to share with you guys, so you don't have to worry about these, but I'm just trying to kind of like jog your memory of maybe some of these will resonate with you, of who you might be looking for. So the busy mom who works full time but is always tired and feels unfulfilled, like she's going through the motions. The single mom who's desperate for change, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially. The woman who feels like it's impossible to make real like-minded friends in their 30s. The woman who feels like it's impossible to make her health a priority because life is too busy and she desperately needs simple tools, a plan, and accountability. The woman who's living paycheck to paycheck and desperately wants to provide more for her family. The woman who loves her career but wants extra income, sisterhood, support, positivity, personal growth, and extra income as a bonus. the woman who loves health and fitness and would love to make an income sharing what she's already passionate about, the woman who desires to pay off debt and live life on her own terms, the woman who hates her job and wants a plan B so she can do what she loves, make money, and be home with her family, right? These are all different kinds of people. Now, there might be certain things that overlap, but I guess with this exercise, what I'm trying to get you to do is kind of identify who you are, why you started, the emotions you had, what you struggle with, and what coaching provided for your life, right? And what it provided at the beginning maybe has morphed more into to giving you more things, but you're essentially trying to figure out like, okay, are you, say, a stay-at-home mom, and finances are tight and you would like to provide more for your family, but you also really need to get fit and healthy. You feel exhausted all the time. You need a simple plan that you can do from home while your kids are running around and a way to earn some extra income, right? And if that's the target of person you're talking to, then you want to make sure in your post that you're speaking to her. Like, when you post a workout picture, you're like, I remember before I started this, I would wake up at the same time as my kids and mornings were always stressed and hectic, right? Now I get up a little bit earlier to get my workout in, have a cup of coffee in peace and quiet so that I feel like a patient, happy mom when my kids get up. And you can say, and I'm sharing this with other women that are just like me who want to do the same thing and building a business at home for my family, right? How many like stay at home exhausted burnt out moms are going to connect to something like that? Versus, I think sometimes what we try to do, myself included, is like inspire and motivate people, which that's also needed. But if it's always like inspire and motivate, take action, people that are struggling don't connect to that. There's nothing for them to connect to because they don't feel inspired. They don't feel motivated, right? They feel stuck and exhausted and burnt out, and like there's no possible way in hell they could add something to their plate. So it's kind of that meeting them where they're at, talking about what they're going through and how this could help them. It's like that saying, instead of like watch me, it's like join me and do this with me, right? It's a different thing of like, I'm doing this, this is great, but it's more like, come with me, we can do this together, right? Okay, so here's some more examples. I'm not going to read through them all, or maybe I already skipped them already. Okay, so this is what I just showed you. Make the brainstorming web of why you started coaching and how coaching has changed or is changing your life. Now, these are topics you can use to create stories around and create on socials. Stories connect to emotions, and repetition is key, right? It's just like a shampoo commercial. I don't know about you guys, but it's like I see the commercial like 6 times and I'm like, damn, her hair looks amazing and my hair doesn't look like that. And like after the 6th time seeing the commercial, I'm in Walgreens and I see it on the shelf and I'm like, well, screw it. I'm just going to buy the shampoo and see if my hair looks like hers, right? The more that people hear your story, hear the emotions, connect to it, know, like, and trust you, the more open-minded people are to hear what you have to say and what you have to offer, right? So repetition is key. Now, just to give you an idea of some of the ones that I jotted down were obviously income, financial stability, more time freedom, being more present as a mom, helping me build my confidence and self-esteem, helping me build confidence and self-belief to push for bigger goals and bigger dreams, um, more independence as a mom or as a single mom, new experiences, opportunities to travel, getting out of my comfort zone and attending events, relationship building skills, business skills that I could technically apply to anything that I've learned running this business, right? More confidence in person and in crowds, because it might shock you to know that I am actually kind of socially awkward and I am not always like the life of the party or a big talker. I guess it depends on the crowd I'm in, but I have gained a whole lot of confidence in being able to like say hello to people, start conversations with people, that I didn't necessarily have before. Time management skills, a growth mindset, embracing looking for solutions and opportunities. Just my entire perspective on life is different. And I attribute a lot of that to personal development and my fitness journey and building a business, right? Because it does change. You have to change your mindset to be successful with a routine and with building a business. Accountability, health habits, routines, right? I could go on and on, but these are just some of the things. Friendships, um, fulfillment. So take some time to do these couple exercises, because when you do this, you will have more clarity of what you can share about coaching, instead of sitting down and being like, I don't know what to talk about. Like, I don't know what I should tell people to get them interested in what I'm doing, right? And the easiest thing is be passionate. Like, what are you excited about with coaching? Because again, people connect to people who are excited about what they're doing. Okay, this is fun to do. So what types of qualities are you looking for with people you want on your team? What kind of qualities do you have personally that attribute to your success, because you want to find your people? Like, I mentioned sometimes how I used to be a very like on and off kind of a person. Like, I never was very consistent, right? I had to learn to be a consistent person. So you'll notice that sometimes in my posts about coaching, or even when I'm inviting to challenge groups, I always talk about that I wanted to learn how to become a consistent, disciplined person. It wasn't that I already was one. It was that I knew I needed to learn how to become one. And this was partially the vehicle of me learning how to do that, right? Um, so we can infuse this language into the content when we're talking about coaching. So it might be, I heard someone say once, and I thought it was just so simple but so smart, is like, tell people what you're looking for. Like, tell people. I like, because someone who reads that and they're like, that's me, and you're like, okay. Coachable, hardworking, consistent, or desires to become a more consistent person. They're self-motivated, or they're a go-getter, or they're not afraid to set goals and then work for it. I say that a lot, right? Because I never set goals before I started this business, ever, never, in my personal life or in terms of finances or anything like that. But I wanted to learn how to be a goal setter and then actually achieve those things, right? So sometimes I say, like, someone with goals that wants to follow through and do the work, has a big heart and loves helping others. I think that's so incredibly important as a coach. um, Integrity driven, accepting, diverse, open minded. Like, I want you to think about for a minute, like, if you could wake up tomorrow and have 10 of your like dream coaches on your team that you're like, I am so excited to work with these ladies. Like, they are fun and they love people and they have, caring hearts, and they're resilient and they're giving, right? Like, think of the qualities of women that you want to be working with, or that are qualities you have within yourself that you want to find in other people, because you're going to attract what you are, but you're going to also attract what you're sharing about when you're talking about this in context. It's why wording matters, right? I'm not saying to obsess about your wording either, but figure out what it is you're looking for and start throwing a couple of those words into your posts and see how that shifts who you're attracting, right? Because it's basically saying, you're the one, you're the woman I'm looking for. And you can also say it in the manner of, like I'm talking about, of, I wasn't blank, but I desired to become blank, and I was willing to do the work, right? And so it connects the dots of like, oh, I kind of feel like she did, but I'd like to do what she's doing. And that means I've got to get to work to do that, right? um, and I think um, there's no shame in showing the hard work of coaching, because coaching is a job. It does take time and effort. It takes consistency. It takes discipline. It takes showing up. It takes learning. It takes failing forward. I think it's so important that we share the work, because if we're looking to find other people that are willing to do the work and show up and learn and grow, we need to share that part of it. We need to share, I don't like the word hustle anymore. Like, you need to show kind of the behind the scenes of what it takes to run a business, right? Okay. I think these slides got confused because this is, oh, maybe not. Okay, what can you post? And again, I have this all in a Google Doc, so don't stress about, but I just kind of brainstormed some different ideas of what you can post. And I need these myself too. Like I said, like sometimes I sit down and I'm like, I know I need to talk about coaching 3 times this week, but what should I talk about? Sometimes you're like inspired by your personal development or something that happened, or you have a specific thing you feel like talking about, but sometimes you don't. And that's fine. You need prompts to be like, okay, I said I was going to talk about coaching 3 times this week because we have a sneak peek coming next week. I need some ideas. And sometimes you just read one idea and you're like, okay, I can run with that, right? So share a lesson you've learned from your personal development and talk about how it helped you grow. Share a fear that you've overcome. I have shared a million times about how much I hate public speaking, how it literally makes me want to vomit and I feel like I black out, but that I've gotten on stages at Super Saturdays and I've spoken, right? Or how every single week for the last 7 years I've run Zoom calls. When I was a brand new coach, I was so terrified that I either A, kept my screen off, or I B, wouldn't raise my hand for anything, even if I had questions, because I was too terrified to even talk, right? That's a fear that I had to overcome to grow a business that I desired to grow. And I think that's helpful for people to see like, oh, she's afraid of talking on her Instagram stories, or she's afraid to post a workout selfie, or all of those little fears that we have to overcome in the process of coaching. Talk about those things, because the women that you're trying to connect to probably have the exact same fears you did and do, and need to know what they can push through them to do what you're doing, right? Share about how the extra income is impacting your life. Share how coaching provides accountability for you to stay consistent, how it's helped you step out of your comfort zone. Share a dream of something you are working towards. Share your vision. I'm going to be making a post this week. I like I said, storytelling, and there's actually a very like specific story I'm going to tell about when I was at a leadership retreat 2 years ago, and I was really still struggling with a lot of health stuff at that point in time. I felt awful. I literally felt like someone had like sucked the life out of me in terms of my ambition in my business. And I remember crying to Elizabeth Harkey, if you know her, um, dear friend and a mentor of mine. But I remember crying to her and saying, I feel like I'm broken. Like I used to just be so eager and so ambitious. And like, she's like, you can never take your ambition away once you have it. That's just the nature of who you are. You're always going to be someone who strives for more, who strives for growth, who pushes for goals, right? What you're lacking is clarity of vision. And that stuck with me so much, because at that time I had basically accomplished everything that I had come into this business to do, right? I had, provided for my son. I had been able to be home with him up until he was in school. I had built a full-time income. And and so all of a sudden I didn't have that same drive and motivation that I had when my vision was so crystal clear and I knew every day what I was showing up and I was working towards, right? And it took me a while to get clarity of that. And a lot of the things that are shifting in my life right now, I feel like are because I sought clarity for the next year to figure out what it was I was working towards next or moving towards next, which more so for me had to do with a family, having more time freedom to spend with the family that was going to become, that didn't exist yet, right? So share those things with people. Like share what it is that you're building this business for, what it's going to do for your family. Um, are you working towards earning your first Success Club trip, or are you working towards earning to come to the retreat? Like talk about stuff like that, right? Um, do you see your family more now, or do you desire to spend more time with your family, and this is going to provide that for you? Okay, so I wanted to give you some actual examples. If you missed this post of mine, you can go back and read it from the other night. But you'll notice um that I basically call myself out publicly to say I haven't been talking enough about coaching lately, and this is why. Like I was going through a lot in my personal life. I had health things going on. I also at some point had to work through the belief that I was like, people are going to think it's weird that I'm talking about having built a successful business and time freedom. And like, I never wanted to be that icky person that you ignored, right? But you'll notice at the end of this post, I tell a story about where I started, right? So I am looking to connect to the woman who feels like I did in 2014. And that's what I say. I share it in hopes to reach women who felt like I did back in 2014 when I was craving and desperate for emotional, physical, mental, financial, and positive life changes. The women who want to become better versions of themselves and aren't afraid to show up for it. The women who want to provide more for their families and aren't afraid to work for it. The women who will admit they don't know what the hell they're doing, but they're excited about building something that's their own. The women who aren't afraid to dream big and act on it. Right? So just like we talked about, I know who it is I'm looking for, and I'm literally saying exactly that in that photo, in that paragraph. I'm like, this is how I felt, but this is who you are, but this is what you're going to do with it. Do you notice that? It starts off the sentence as um, who want to who want to be a better version of themselves and aren't afraid to show up for it. Because I'm saying not only what they're looking for, but I'm saying, like, are you willing and ready to do the work, to work alongside me to do this, right? Okay, I pulled some examples from other coaches. I don't know why these slides are all mixed up. Let's hope it goes to the next one. Okay, we're gonna talk about income disclaimer. This is not, hold on a second. I have to X out of this because I don't know where my other ones went. So weird. Hold on a second. Where did my slides go? Oh my gosh, that's so weird. I wonder if they didn't save. You see all these right here that I saved? I uploaded each one of these on a slide and I don't even see them now. So that's weird. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to add those ones that I saved to show you to the mentorship page so that you can see the examples that I had saved for you about coaching. Because I made slides like this for every single one of them and I don't know where they went. Okay, this was more examples, which we're not going to go over because they're in the document I'm going to share with you. Remember, if you mention income, like directly mention income, you need to add the income disclaimer. And it's kind of looked frowned upon now to add up like cumulative numbers of what you're making, anything like that. What I would suggest is if you are going to talk about income, that you mention something that it's done for you. Like, I was able to take my husband on date night this week because of my coaching business, or I was able to take my girls out for a pedicure because of this business, or I was able to pay this specific bill because of my coaching business. And you put in the disclaimer because people need to know this is not some like get rich quick scheme, and it is dependent on work and diligence and skill, right? Okay. Dun-dun-dun. Hopefully this is giving you some ideas. Okay. So how often are we sharing, right? I personally think this is going to be a little different for everyone, but I'm going to suggest, because we have 2 Meet the Team events coming up, which are designed to share the coaching opportunity, where it's literally, you don't even have to say a word other than, hey, I'd love for you to hop on with my team this week. We're sharing about what we do as coaches. I think you might be interested in it. Are you open to come check it out, right? Inviting people to join you to get on those, because we share our stories, we share about the business, we share about our fitness, our nutrition, how we earn income, travel, all of the things, and it really gives a good explanation of the coaching opportunity to them. And then all you do is check back in and say, hey, what do you think? Do you have any questions? Is that something you think you'd love to do, right? And it's that simple. So let's keep it that simple. So I would suggest that over the next 2 weeks, you aim to make 3 posts about coaching in some type of fashion. One of them could be you take a screenshot of your computer tonight that you're sitting on a call, or you take a pretty little selfie like this with your computer in the background and you're like, hey, right? You got your computer there, you're working, and you're going to talk about the business mentorship that you're in right now and why you take an hour out of your week every single week to get on a mentorship call, because you believe in what you're doing and the ability you have to help people and how it's changed things for you, and you're excited to share that with other people, right? You could make a post later in this week how coaching has helped you have more accountability and support to stick to your fitness journey. And you're not really sure if you could be a consistent person without the accountability of coaching, right? We're way more likely to fall off track if no one knows what the hell we're doing. When we have accountability of a community and of a coach, like, you're more likely to show up because people care if you show up, right? And then make something that's personal to you. Like, think about this exercise we did tonight about the woman you're looking for, how she feels, and craft some kind of a story or a post about that. I don't know if you guys saw the Slay Squad call Monday night, but it was about vulnerability. It was a really, really good call. Um, and I think it's a great reminder to remember that sometimes the things that are hard to share or uncomfortable to share are the things that people are going to connect to and resonate most, right? Like, I don't love talking about that I lived through an abusive relationship and became a single mom and had to figure out how to be a sole provider. But I know that connects to people who are in kind of desperate situations for change, right? Um, like, there are so many different parts of my story that I'm like, I don't necessarily like talking about this part of my life, but I know that it's going to connect to someone who has similar feelings and feels stuck and needs to feel inspired or have hope that things can change for them, right? Um, okay, so let's see. Oh, I wanted to make this a key point because this is really important, and I think we can all tend to get in the habit of this, and this is a habit I would like to move away from for all of us so that we are consistently and confidently sharing more about coaching. Is that sometimes before we would run coaching like invites, we'd like throw up a post real quick of like, join us at 8 p.m. tonight, right? But we hadn't talked about it for like 2 to 3 weeks prior. Is that we can't just make one post about coaching before an event and expect that people are going to jump in and want to partake in these. Like, we have to show up consistently, adding value, sharing those stories, connecting to the women that are interested. So what I personally do is that when we have an event coming up, and I know I say, like, I made that post, what was it, 2 days ago, about coaching, right? So I made this post about coaching. Now I put, I just out of curiosity to see if it would work or not, what kind of traction it would get, I made a reel today that was about coaching as well. So when we have a meet the team coming up, I'm going to have like 3 or 4 posts to go back to and see who liked, who commented, who engaged with it, and or share something in my Instagram stories with a poll and an invite. So at least I've got to have, out of all of those, at least 5 to 10 people that I'm probably going to go invite to that meet the team event, right? And if you do the same thing the week to follow, you're probably going to have a handful more people that you're going to invite to that. Now you also can invite calendars that are having success. I think the next slide is where I share from. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know why I said 6 because this says 7. Forgive me. Okay. So my top 7 ways to share coaching. Inviting people to meet the team events, which is what we're talking about because it does the work of sharing the opportunity for you. Number 2, and I would honestly say that this is the one that I have the most success with, is connecting, inviting, and chatting with people one-on-one. I invite people personally to the business in one-on-one messages. It used to make me very uncomfortable. I used to be very worried what people would think. At this point, I think of it like a compliment. I'm in some way, shape, or form saying, I run a business, I invest time in helping other women build something that they believe in, helping other people. And I see some kind of potential in you if I'm inviting you to this business opportunity. It's not just because you have a pulse and I'm like, I'll take anybody, right? It's because I think, wow, you have really great content, or you're super cute, or I like the mission or the things that you share about, or you seem really positive or influential, or you're really into fitness. And I think this might be a good opportunity because you seem like someone that can teach others things, right? there is a reason that I am inviting you to something. And most of the time, I will include some type of uh, a positive compliment in that invite of why I'm inviting them, right? It's like I see your post pop up in my feed and I can't help but smile because I love all the holistic health tips you share. Like, have you ever thought about learning more about what I do? And it's not like a super long, drawn out, crazy me trying to explain anything about this business. It's genuinely just like a compliment. And I would love to share more about what I'm doing with you, right? um, Sharing in your Instagram and or Facebook stories with an invite and a poll. You can do this numerous ways. You could write text over, workout videos you're doing. You could post pictures of your family and share, why you're building this business, to provide more for your family or be a more energetic mom or whatever. Or you can use the Unfold app, which is what I like to use. And the cool thing about Unfold is once you make a story, it's in there forever. It doesn't just like disappear and go away. So anytime, like say next month, you want to go use the same slide, you go right back. I don't know if you can see this. You go right back into your Unfold and you can go back to that story and you can save it and you can repost it. So I have a couple different ones that are specific to coaching. If you want to see any of them, I'm happy to share them. But to make it simple to put together, I have an album of photos on my phone that are already like edited to my brand edit colors. So that when I go to make an Unfold, I'm not like scrolling looking for photos for 10 hours. I just pop in the photo, I add the text that I want, and then you save that. You can upload it to your story. And at the end of it, you're going to add a poll that says, hey, we're hosting a Meet the Team coaching event this next coming Tuesday night. Is it something you're interested in learning more about? Right. And put a yes and put a like something. I never put a no. I put something like I'm curious but nervous, or curious but skeptic, or like, I put something that's like letting me know that someone's interested, but they're kind of like, I'm not really too sure. Right. Because then it opens the door to a conversation. I mentioned this before, but share with current customers who already have beliefs. So often the best coaches come from people that have experienced our fitness programs. They love Shakeology. They've done one of the nutrition programs. They've been in a challenge group. They've engaged in some capacity. So they have experienced the community. They've connected with you as their coach. And they're someone that's like, it's literally as simple as saying, I went to Ulta, I bought this bronzer. I've literally never seen my cheeks look so freaking amazing in selfies. And you post about it and you're like, go buy this bronzer so you can look like a beauty queen this summer, right? And then your friends are like, oh, I should try that. You did not hesitate in at all to go share about that because it's a product you tried, you saw the results, you really liked how it looks and how it made you feel, and then you go tell somebody about it, right? It's the same thing. If you think the mindset of a customer is, I started this journey, I feel different, I look different, I love this community, I've fallen in love with this. And sometimes that's the easiest thing to go and say, hey, you are crushing it on your journey. I'm so proud of the success you've had. Have you thought at all about learning about the coaching opportunity? I think you'd be awesome at it. Again, inviting to coaching is not hard and it's not fancy, right? It's typically like a very simple uh compliment of some sort and then a question, right? And open-minded. um Another way that I like to share is when I get a money objection. You are bound to get money objections. We all get them, right? When someone's like, oh, I really want to start my fitness journey, but I can't afford $160 for a challenge pack right now. I always tell people when I started coaching, I was a broke single mom. Like I was not ready to spend $180 on the challenge pack, but I was so desperate for change that I started to analyze where I was actually spending money. And I was buying iced coffee at Dunkin' Donuts literally every single day to survive, which was doing absolutely nothing for my health nor my bank account, right? So I flipped that and I was like, okay, I'm going to take the $70 I spend on iced coffee and I'm going to put it towards something that's going to do something for me. But I also knew, because my coach told me, that if I had a couple friends that wanted to do this with me, I could earn the 25% commission and it would pay for my challenge pack. And you better bet that I had 3 mom friends sign up that same week that I started, and it completely paid for my challenge pack within like a week and a half. So I'm not shy about saying to someone, if there's a will, there's a way. And if you really want to get started, do you think your mom would want to join you, your cousin, your best friend, your coworker, whoever? I'm guarantee you probably know 3 people that really need fitness and nutrition in their lives, or they talk about losing weight all the time, right? I feel like everybody does. Um, if you're interested in sharing this with 2 to 3 of your friends, we can get your package paid for. It's not saying, hey, do you want to come build a 6-figure business? It's saying, hey, do you want to share this with 2 or 3 people so that you can do what it is that you want to do and work towards your goals, but also get something in return, right? So I always share, or I will say, have you ever thought about the coaching opportunities sometimes? Because say for example, I have a single mom that says to me, I would love to do this, I just know I could never afford it. And I'm like, well, have you thought about learning more about what it is I do? Because that's a part of why I started, was because I needed to invest in my own wellness, and I knew if nothing changed, nothing was going to change, right? um so I'm not shy about offering that as a response to a money objection, because you literally never know who could be like, oh my gosh, I can build a business sharing my fitness journey, right? Like that's how I was like, I can do what? So just it doesn't hurt to ask, right? I send out emails to customers weekly, but sometimes I'll throw in there when we have a meet the team event coming up so that it keeps your customers in the know. Another simple way to do that is just to post about it in your challenge groups, is to say, hey, we have a meet the team event coming. If you're loving your journey or loving the community, you'd like to get your products paid for, whatever, hop on or meet the team and just check it out, right? Um, post, and then invite. So it's kind of what we're talking about, is like share the stories, connect to the emotions, speak to the woman you're looking for, and then have a post that's inviting. There's actually a book, it's called I think it's called Jab, 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 Right Hook, but it talks about like telling stories, adding value, getting people to connect to you, and then boom, hitting them with that right hook of an invite, right? It's like, hey, now that you've been reading the stories I've been sharing about coaching all week long, I'm going to throw a direct invite out there of, hey, we're hosting a meet the team event. Is that something you want to come learn more about, right? And the last thing I want to just say about this is that do not ever assume that you know whether someone would be interested in coaching or not. Because I made assumptions in my first year to a business. Sometimes I was like, she would never want to be a coach. And then she turned around to become like one of the best coaches on the team, right? Or um, you just like, you literally can never guess if someone's going to say yes or if they'd be apprehensive. I don't know if you guys have those people from like high school or something that you're like, they're too cool, they would never like want anything to do with what I'm doing, right? I feel like we all feel like that with certain people, or some capacity. Or you're like, she already has a really successful business, or she already makes a lot of money, like this wouldn't be something for her. Those people, you never know, might desperately be looking for something like this. You cannot assume from the outside looking in that someone needs or doesn't need an opportunity like this. The only way you're ever going to know is by asking. And what's the worst that can happen? You get a no, which is where you started in the first place because they didn't join you, right? Or you get a yes, I'm curious, and they start to follow along more with what you're doing and building that relationship and building the trust. Or they're like, heck yeah, I want to learn more about that. And now you have someone that's interested in what you're doing and being a part of what we're doing, which is amazing, right? So don't assume, just ask. And I just want to say, a key to growing a team is key to making a bigger impact. I always liked this like rule, that someone shared when I was a newer coach, where they're like, okay, if you have you and you help 3 people a month and hit Success Cup, right? That's 3 people a month. That's however many people a year. Now imagine you have 2 coaches on your team and they both help 3 people. Or imagine you have 5 coaches on your team and everyone's helping 3 people. the numerous amount of people and the biggest impact that you can make in a year's time span if you just find a couple people who are passionate and excited about this opportunity like you, right? Now, also growing a team and helping them learn how to grow this business is key to you growing a financially solid business. So it's really important to have fun with this and be confident. And like I said, you never know who's waiting for you to ask. So we are right on par. I can't believe that lasted an hour. Do you guys have questions, or do you have like anything that has to do with sharing the coaching opportunity that you feel confused about or not confident or anything?
I have a question. It's not necessarily about the coaching opportunity, but it kind of tied back into it. When you say you email people, do you find that like your weekly emails, I don't know, I just feel like I get emails from so many people. I just like delete, delete, delete. Do you like find that people even like read that and look into it?
You know, it's interesting because I feel like I don't necessarily get a ton of response on a weekly basis. I like to do it more so because I'm like, I'm adding value. I'm giving you things in your email that is like meal plans, recipes, mindset tips. So I like to do it because I want to be like a high touch coach where you don't just like not hear from me for 2 months. And email is a simple way to do that with a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if you want to engage with me, you know where I'm at. You know that I'm going to pop up in your inbox every single Friday morning, rain or shine. And it's interesting because when I have shared vulnerable things in those emails, like when I shared that I started taking a low dose of depression medication, it was really interesting because I had some people respond to that email that I didn't know necessarily were reading them or watching them, that commented and said like, thank you so much for sharing that. I've really been struggling this year, or I really needed to hear that. Like, I always look up to you and you're so strong. Like, it obviously took a lot of courage for you to share something like that. Like, I feel like it's similar to social media, where if you share things that are not only of value and adding to them, but you share things that are a little more personal, of like what you're going through in your personal journey, sometimes people connect more to that, just like they do on social media. I don't ever think it's necessarily a waste of time though, but
Yeah.
I'm going to stop